Hey, well, welcome back, Brit. Like I was telling you before I hit record, I've thought about you so many times and wondered what happened to your story and where you're at now. So I was really glad when I reached out to your aunt, who I know, who then put me in touch with you, and that you were willing to talk with me again. And your story really resonated with so many people when we first broke it. Has it been a year ago now?
It's been more than a year. It was 2023.
Oh my goodness. Gosh, time really does march on. So why don't you real quick for people who didn't see part one, and obviously when I post this, we'll link to part one so people can see that if they want to. Tell us quickly what brought our worlds together.
Okay. Well, I was pregnant with twin or not twins, it was the other one. I was pregnant with the baby as a surrogate. And when they do like the extensive medical stuff, they ended up finding cancer. So I had to go through that whole process of, being pregnant with someone else's baby, trying to make medical decisions for myself and the baby. Ended up having the baby. Baby didn't survive, and then I started on the chemo process
And it
about,
was breast cancer, correct?
yes, breast cancer.
Yeah. Um, and just I'm curious, have you had any contact whatsoever with it was two men, right, that you had a baby for?
No, they disappeared completely.
Okay, so and they knew that you had cancer.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, because that was part of your rush to sort of try to find a place that would maybe let you deliver the baby, which was 21 weeks, 23 weeks.
I believe it was 24,
Or,
almost 25 by the time I had the
um,
baby, yeah.
so what happened then? You left the hospital, you just given birth to a surrogate baby who didn't survive, and you had a cancer diagnosis, and you're a young mom of your own children.
I have 4 kids.
Yeah. So what happened?
So I started chemo, I believe it was like 1 week later, which the first chemo was really rough. I had a reaction and passed out, and it was like a big ordeal. But I think it's just because my body just had a baby and it wasn't, back to its normal self. So the first one was kind of rough, but after that, they weren't quite as bad. The whole things that come with chemo, lost my hair, was sick all the time. But I think as I kept doing it, it got a little bit easier for me. I think just because I was young-ish, and healthy, and I think that's what helped me handle chemo a lot better than most people.
And what kind of breast cancer do you have, if you care to tell us
So there's so many like little acronyms and words, but it's HER2 positive and then estrogen progesterone negative.
Mhm.
So those being negative was good, which means that I don't have to be on like estrogen blockers for the rest of my life. Because if they're positive, then you have to do stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. And did your oncologist think it had anything to do with the pregnancy or
They didn't think that, but they did think that it progressed as quick as it did because I was pregnant. So like when your body is pregnant, everything regenerates a lot faster. So that made the cancer grow and spread a lot quicker than if I wasn't pregnant. So that had some to do with it, but not, they don't think it was the medication.
and do you think that your what's your prognosis? I mean, you said this has been a couple of years now and you're still wearing a wig, so obviously you're still in treatment.
So I did chemo and immunotherapy every single week. So it was June, and I believe I did that until November of 23. And then I did just immunotherapy every 3 weeks. And then last year in August at my scan, they found that I had a new little spot in my liver. So I started chemo again this last September. So
Wow.
I was told I wouldn't be on chemo that long, but I just recently found out I have to be on this chemo for 18 months. So that's going to put me into 2026, I believe.
Wow. And do you have a family history of breast cancer? You're the only person that has this, nobody else,
I
mom.
think I haven't, my mom's aunt had it at one point, but not the same as me.
And you have a
All the
sister.
genetic.
She doesn't have, yeah. Wow. So what kind of prognosis do they give you for this kind of cancer?
They don't, I think unless you're like at the end stage, they don't actually give you like a you have this long to live type thing. But they say with this type of cancer and like new treatments that come out all the time, and I'm young and healthy and all those, they don't see it they say they should be able to, keep it away for at least 10 years is what my doctor said, but
Mhm.
they've also seen people, go longer than that. So,
And you're young, so,
I mean,
and
young for cancer, I guess. Myself young,
but
but
but as far as the pregnancy maybe accelerating the growth of the cancer, they don't think it had anything to do with any of the fertility drugs you took before you got ready to take the embryo transfer,
they
anything like
don't think so. But I mean, it could just be because that's the area that they work in and they don't, want to blame it on something like that.
yeah. Well, I did a short documentary film called Maggie's Story, and Maggie sold her eggs 10 times.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she, as a very young woman, got breast cancer. And her oncologist actually told her that she thought that that could definitely have been a factor in her getting breast cancer, but she obviously had way more exposure to fertility drugs
Yeah.
doing, the repeated
Was,
cycles.
if she was estrogen progesterone positive?
I don't think she was.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's
I'd have to go back. It's been a while since I listened to her story. I mean, I've met her several times in person and obviously made a film with her, so I'd have to go back. I don't want to misspeak on that, but she had a pretty significant cancer and she was happy to be, make her 5-year mark of cancer free and like
Is
that.
she still doing good?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I follow her on social media and sometimes she'll post, I just passed one more year and one more milestone. And, so she's very active in breast cancer, support stuff. But in your health otherwise, I mean, you have a spot on your liver. Does that?
So when they first found the cancer, they thought it was just breast cancer and everything would be fine. And then when they did the scan, they saw it was kind of all over.
Mhm.
So the chemo that I did got rid of all of it, which was nice. And then it just came back on my liver, but I've had two, I think, scans since that, and everything is gone again. So I don't know if every time I stop chemo, it's just going to kind of reappear wherever it decides or how that's going to work. But it's kind of just an ongoing yearly, weekly, monthly.
And how do you navigate that? You're a young mom, 4 kids, you're working. Today's your day off. How do you?
Trying to stay positive. I mean, there's days where like I'm on the cancer community like TikTok and I see, girls with kind of the same thing. And like we just lost somebody yesterday with the same, breast cancer. And it's like seeing that stuff, I'm like, why am I still here and, not thriving, but, doing relatively well. I'm able to do everything on my own, but then you see other people with the same thing that they're not making it. It just makes your day kind of,
And you say doing everything on your own, meaning because you're a single mom.
yeah. I mean, I did move in with my parents. They helped me out a lot.
Yeah,
I did get divorced. Oh, I filed for divorce last December, so
yeah,
doing the whole single mom thing. But I did single mom before with my older two, so I know how this rodeo goes. But I'm just thankful, that I get to be with my kids a lot.
yeah. And do you work full time?
No, I'm just working part-time, just
Okay.
2 to 3 days a week.
And what's the age range of your children?
They are 5, 6, 13, and 15. So my
Okay,
teenagers also help out a lot with their little brothers.
yeah, you'll soon have one that drives.
Yeah, he just turned 15 in November, so we're looking at driver's ed stuff right now.
So now that you've got some space and this surrogacy that ended, in such a way that brought our worlds together was your second one, if I'm remembering correctly. Um, where like if some young woman came to you and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about being a surrogate," what would be your advice to her?
I'm kind of stuck in the middle because I appreciate and I'm very thankful that surrogacy is available for people who can't have babies, but at the same time, stuff still would need to be changed, and she would need to know like the full extent of like I had no clue that something like this could happen, and I would be pushed, to situations I didn't feel like I had control of. So I would make sure that they completely understood all of the things that could go on. Um, so I wouldn't say I would encourage anybody from doing that, but I also don't know if I could be pushing for it as well because I've been asked to be an advocate for that, and I can't do it either way, for it or
Has to
against.
be an advocate for surrogacy. And do you mind me asking, like, who's asked you to do
Well,
that?
like this, the agency that I was going
I
through
see.
that I used, which I love them. They're the best, sweetest women in the world, but I just couldn't bring myself to do
Cheerlead.
that. Yeah.
yeah, I think I'd have a hard time too, just knowing what could go wrong. And um, yeah, how much, I mean, I always say that overwhelmingly women won't be surrogates if they're not being paid. Like an organ donor, if you want to give your kidney to somebody, you can't be paid.
Yeah.
How much do you think that weighs into the decision that women, obviously more so than men, but sometimes husbands weigh in on these kind of decisions. I mean, what would you say if I said, let's take the money out of it, then women won't take these risks that might put them in
I
harm?
don't think most women would. I mean, I told my if there was anyone in my family, I would absolutely do it for free for a close
Um,
friend, family friend, whatever. But it was also a job, so it's kind
yeah,
of to put a number on something like that because it's wear and tear on your body. And then if you look at, what happened with me, I don't blame the surrogacy for the cancer, but I can't say that it wasn't also a factor in it. So
mm,
like if
yeah,
my daughter came to me and said she wanted to do it, I would probably be conflicted.
yeah. Right. Well, and you'd have to see, why is she doing it?
Yeah.
Is she
I don't
doing it just for a friend, to help a friend, or is she doing it because she needs money?
Yeah, the money should not be the main deciding factor for something like
Yeah.
that, for sure.
Well, when my colleague and I, Callie Fell, we did research on gestational surrogacy, and we had it published. And one of the questions, I think we interviewed about 100, only in the United States, and we asked them what they used the money for, and the overwhelming response was to pay bills and get out of debt.
Okay.
There was a couple people that said, put money away for college for my kids, or, get a new car or something like that. But it was overwhelming. So I always say it should mirror, and you might not agree with me, but I think it should mirror the law like organ donation.
Okay.
You
I don't
do it
know
to
the
help
laws for that
somebody.
very much.
Yeah.
You can't be paid for organ donation, is what you're saying.
Yes, you can. It's illegal. Yeah, because it's seen as buying and selling. It's a
Yeah.
transaction. And then it's also seen as, well, we know that rich people aren't going to sell. I mean, rich people aren't going to sell their kidney.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
And they're
going to
also not
be,
going to do surrogacy, so I guess you can link
yeah.
those
You're
together.
never going to see Kim Kardashian being a surrogate for her house.
No, she would get a surrogate, but she definitely would not be one, yes.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah. Wow. So how has this changed you? I mean, I know I'm asking you to sort of imagine and predict, but are you older and wiser? Are you more?
Yeah, I think so. I've looked at the future more like setting up things for my children, just because I never know. So every milestone with each child for me is exciting.
Mhm.
Like my son turned 5, which is a big birthday. I was excited about that, and then my son's gonna drive soon, and my daughter starts high school next year. So like every little milestone for each child to me is really exciting. And I did celebrate a lot of things before, but I think now I just celebrate every single thing that I can because I mean, even if I didn't have cancer, you could die in a car accident tomorrow. So you should just celebrate every milestone and exciting thing that you can.
Yeah. It is amazing how we sort of take so much for granted until we're faced with some serious event in our life. And then
Mhm.
we realize, oh, I was reading the other day on social media, basically like, if you have words you want to say them now. Say I
Mhm.
love you, say I care about you, say instead of going, oh my, I think it was somebody who like said that their husband left for work and then they died. And like the last thing that she said to him was, you need to shave. And she's like, why did I say that? Why didn't I say
Don't
I
think of
miss
that
you
for the
or I
rest of
love
your
you
life.
instead of telling me he needs to shave?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do your kids think? I mean, are they at peace, or do they feel, are they worried for you, or
My little two don't really they're too young, They just think that the cancer is done and because my I have a little bit of hair, it's grown back a little bit. So like when I'm home, I don't always have a wig on.
uh,
Bald anymore, but you two, they kind of ask me every once in a while, like, "Oh, are you still sick, or how are you doing?" And they seem to be understanding pretty well.
yeah,
Probably because if you didn't know I had cancer, you wouldn't know. You know what I mean? Nobody on the out anywhere would like look at me like, "Oh, she has cancer," because I'm always out at work or out with my kids, and have hair on my head. No one would ever know that I had cancer. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
probably helps them that they don't see me, like sick all the time and. Like they don't
Yeah.
go to my doctor's appointments or anything, but
And how's your energy? Do you get tired easily or?
yeah, so I do chemo every 3 weeks now. So the week that I do it, I'm pretty tired. Like because you get steroids when you do it. So I'm like up for a day or two, like can't sleep at all. And then I'm like really tired for a few days and then nauseous for about a week and a half. So it takes a little bit for me to get back to normal, but I get like a week to a week and a half of like feeling good and energized before I go back and do it again.
Yeah.
But I hide it from them well because I don't want them to remember me, always being sick or whatever. Try,
Yeah.
try to be as normal as I can be like I was before.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I don't really have any other questions. I mean, I just wanted to do a check-in and let people sort of know the it's not the ending of the story yet, but it's, where you're at now, is there anything else you wanted to say or share with people that would be listening?
Um, no, I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, will you keep in touch?
Yes, of course.